Hello, happy snow day. I want to remind you that your homework is due tomorrow at 8 a.m. Okay, so be sure that you're working on that today, get that all finished. Your quiz will also still be tomorrow, okay, because I don't want to push it off until after winter. So I'm going to send you my 10 favorite questions and I'm going to walk you through each and every one. Okay, so for the quiz, first of all, you need to know how to convert from degrees into radians. So if you remember, if we have 495 degrees, we want to write that over 1. And to convert from degrees into radians, we multiply by pi over 180. So that gives us 495 pi over 180, which is the correct answer, but we need to reduce that fraction. Okay, so you can use your calculator to reduce 495 over 180 into 11 pi over 4 radians. Okay? You also need to remember how to use the arc length formula. So if you remember, that formula is S equals R theta, right? Where R is the radius of the circle, theta is the central angle, and S is the arc length. Okay? The theta has to be in radians. So for this particular problem, which I copied from your quiz, the theta is in radians, okay? So they give us the radius, 14.8. They give us the angle, 7 pi over 5. We plug both of those into the equation, multiply, type it into your calculator because you're going to round to one decimal place, and you get 65.1. Okay, so follow along with me as I'm going through these problems. Make sure you're typing this in your calculator and getting the same thing. The other formula we learned in section 6.1 was the area formula. Area is 1/2 r squared theta. Again, r is the radius and theta is the central angle. So for this, looking at this circle they gave you, the radius is 5. We have no idea what the central angle is, right? They don't tell us what that angle is, but they do give us this little information up here, which happens to be the arc length. So we sort of have to go back. I don't know if you remember us doing this problem. We sort of have to go back a step and work this little mini arc length problem so that we can get the theta that we need for our area formula. So I'm going to plug both the arc length and the radius that they gave me into my arc length formula so that I can get the central angle that I'm going to put over here in my area formula. Okay, so we solved this little separate problem over here, plugged it in. Okay, so area is 1/2 times radius squared times the central angle that we just solved for. Okay, so if we put all that together, you've got 1/2 times 25 times 3 pi over 5. And you can cancel diagonally. 5 goes into 25 5 times. Multiplying across, you get 15 pi over 2. Okay? That's the answer to that problem. You will also have a couple of problems where you're going to use your unit circle. Okay? So I'm going to write these answers down for you. I hope you're looking at your unit circle. The first one says sine of negative pi over 6. So you got to remember, if you're looking at your circle, okay, pi over 6 is that first dot in the first quadrant. Right? So a negative pi over 6 means we're going to go that same distance but backwards, so we end up down here, which is also 11 pi over 6. Okay? You're looking at the y coordinate, so you look at that ordered pair that's on the outside. For sine, you want the y coordinate, so it's going to be negative 1/2. Okay? So that would be the answer. Look at the next one. This one's a little bit different. We're looking for the angle, okay? Look down here. Sine of s equals 1/2. You are looking for the angle. They tell you that the y-coordinate is 1/2. They also tell you where to look. They're telling us to look between pi over 2 and pi, which is the second quadrant. Okay, so we're looking for the second quadrant where we have a y-coordinate of 1/2. I want you to look on your unit circle and see if you agree with me that it's 5 pi over 6. Okay. The next kind of group of questions are going to be about graphing. Okay, so we're going to do some questions where you have to match, okay, the sine and cosine graph with the equation. Okay, you will have your calculator for the whole quiz. Alright, so feel free to use your calculator here to help you. For cosine x, if you look, each of these choices looks like a calculator screen. They even give you the window. That's what those numbers are in brackets right below. Okay, so you are looking for the one that looks like a cosine curve, which means it does not go through the origin. Okay, so this one's out. Okay, it isn't shifted up or down. Instead, the amplitude is 4. So it's not shifted up. You're looking for the one that has an amplitude of 4 and looks like the bowl. Remember, cosine looks like the bowl. Okay, so you would choose choice B there. The next one, -2 sine x. Okay, so again, we're looking for a curve with an amplitude of 2, so it hasn't been shifted up or down. And it's a sine curve, which means it goes through the origin. Okay, the minus sign is what flips. So I don't know if you can tell, but this curve goes squiggles down, then up, instead of up, then down. It's flipped across the x-axis. Again, feel free to use your calculator. Okay. The next graphing question, all right, they're giving us the graph, and they want us to tell which of the equations matches. So what I'm going to do first is find the maximum point, which is right here at 1, the minimum point, which is down here at -7. The distance between -7 and +1 is 8. So halfway would be 4. So I'm going to go from my top point and count 1, 2, 3, 4 down, which brings me to -3. And there is my midline. Okay, there's my middle of the curve. And you can see it squiggles up 4 and down 4 from that midpoint, midline. Okay, so that tells me the amplitude. So this curve has an amplitude of 4. It's a cosine curve. That doesn't surprise me because all the choices are cosine, right? And it's been shifted down. How far down? You look at where's your midline. It's been shifted down 3. Okay, so you go over here to your choices and you look for one that's been shifted down 3. So this one's out and this one's out and has an amplitude of 4. So it's got to be choice A. All right. Last two questions, very exciting. Amplitude, period, vertical shift, and phase shift. This is the stuff we talked about yesterday. Okay, so this first equation, 4 cosine of x plus pi over 10. The first thing they're asking is for the amplitude. Okay, that's that number. It's the coefficient in front of sine or cosine, so in this case that would be 4. Okay, then they want period. Remember, period is 2 pi divided by b. b is the number you factored out. This one didn't have a number to factor out. There is no coefficient of x. Actually, it's an understood 1, right? So this is 2 pi over 1, which is 2 pi. So the period here is 2 pi. Okay, how about vertical shift? There isn't one. How would you know if there's one? You'd see a number all by itself, added or subtracted at the end or at the beginning from the whole equation. We don't see that, so there is no vertical translation. And phase shift, that's the number that's left over inside the parentheses, which would be pi over 10. They already put to the left, so you're going to type a positive pi over 10. Okay, so be sure you're very careful about reading the way that says. Phase shift is pi over 10 to the left. Okay, you don't have to put in the minus sign. Pi over 10 to the left. Okay, one more problem. 9 minus sine of 6x plus pi over 3. So this question does have a number in front of x. There is a coefficient to factor out. So you have to remember, factoring out is exactly like dividing. 6x divided by 6 is x. Pi over 3 divided by 6 is the same as pi over 3 times 1 over 6, which is pi over 18. If you're confused about whether or not you factored it out correctly, try distributing it back and seeing if you get what you started with. If you do, then you did it right. Okay? So what's the amplitude for this? Be careful. It's actually 1. Okay? What's the period? It's 2 pi divided by the number you factored out. In this case, 2 pi divided by 6, which reduces to pi over 3. Okay? What's the vertical shift here? Is there one? Why, yes, there is. It is 9 up. It's this number in front all by itself. Okay? There's your vertical shift that the last problem didn't have. And then phase shift, That's the number that's inside the parentheses left over, and that would be pi over 18. Okay? Because it's plus, that means to the left. So be careful. Okay, look down here, the way they want you to type it in. They already put to the left, so you don't have to put the minus sign. Pi over 18 is what would go in the blank. Pi over 18 units to the left. Okay, so feel free to look back over this video, pause it, send me an email or a text, or give me a call if you have any questions, and be ready to take your quiz tomorrow and have some fun in the snow today. Bye-bye.